The invitation sat on my kitchen counter for weeks, its elegant calligraphy mocking me. Please join us in celebrating Rachel Thompson's baby shower. My sister's name, written in gold ink, seemed to shimmer under the morning light streaming through my apartment windows. I hadn't planned to go. Every excuse ran through my mind: work commitments, a conveniently timed illness, car trouble. But Mom's voice on the phone last night had been firm. "Emma, you need to be there. She's your sister." What Mom really meant was, "It's been 5 years. You need to move on." Easy for her to say. She wasn't the one who had to watch her sister raise her child. I adjusted my blouse in the mirror, checking for the 100th time that my makeup concealed the dark circles under my eyes. Sleep hadn't come easily since the invitation arrived. Every night, my dreams were filled with memories I'd spent years trying to forget. 5 years ago, I was 19 and terrified. A positive pregnancy test in a college bathroom, my boyfriend's back as he walked away, my parents' disappointed faces. I couldn't keep the baby. I was barely more than a child myself, struggling through my freshman year of college, working part-time at a coffee shop to make ends meet. Rachel, 26 and married, had been trying for a baby for 2 years. The solution seemed obvious to everyone but me. It's the best thing for everyone, Mom had insisted, her hand squeezing mine as we sat in the adoption lawyer's office. Rachel and David will give the baby a wonderful life. You can finish school, build your career, and he'll still be in the family. I signed the papers through tears that wouldn't stop falling. 5 years later, I had the degree, the career, the carefully reconstructed life. And Rachel had my son. The baby shower was being held at my parents' house, the same house where I'd grown up, where Rachel now lived with David and Lucas, the name they'd given my baby. I parked my car at the curb, staring up at the familiar red brick facade. Pink and blue balloons decorated the front porch, announcing Rachel's second pregnancy to the world. "You can do this," I whispered to my reflection in the rearview mirror. Just a few hours. The house was already full of guests when I arrived. Women from church, Rachel's college friends, our extended family, all cooing over ultrasound photos and suggesting baby names. Rachel sat in the center of it all, radiant in a flowing maternity dress, her hand resting on her growing belly. "Emma!" Mom spotted me hovering in the doorway. "You made it." Her hug felt forced, too careful, like she was handling something fragile. Maybe she was right to worry. I felt fragile, seeing all this, the pink and blue decorations, the pile of presents, the Big Brother t-shirt Lucas wore as he played with his cousins in the corner. Lucas, my son. He had Rachel's last name, called her Mommy. But I saw myself in every feature of his face. The same dark curls I had at his age, the same dimple in his left cheek when he smiled. He was beautiful and perfect and completely, legally, not mine. "No," he said firmly. "She's my first mommy." I remember her voice. The room spun slightly. Someone gasped. Rachel made a sound like she'd been punched. "I think," Mom's shaking voice cut through the silence, "we need to clear the room." Guests began gathering their purses and coats, murmuring awkwardly as they hurried out. Soon only family remained: me, Rachel, Mom, and Lucas, who still hadn't moved from his spot in front of me. "How?" Rachel whispered. "How could he possibly know?" I finally found my voice. I used to sing to him. Before, when I was pregnant. The same lullaby every night. Lucas's face lit up. The Star's Song. You sang about the star. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, I confirmed, tears spilling down my cheeks. Every night for 9 months. Rachel collapsed back onto the sofa, her face pale. This can't be happening. He's my son. We had an agreement. I never told him, I said quickly. I never tried to contact him. Or, then how? Rachel demanded. How does he know? Sometimes children just know, Mom said quietly. They feel things adults can't explain. Lucas climbed onto the sofa between Rachel and me, his small face serious. Don't cry, he said, patting Rachel's hand. You're still my mommy too. Too. The word hung in the air between us. Rachel burst into tears, one hand protectively covering her pregnant belly. I can't deal with this right now. I need David. She fumbled for her phone, stepping into the kitchen to make the call. I could hear her broken sobs through the door. Emma. Mom started, but I cut her off. Don't. Please don't tell me this is why you insisted I come today. Did you know somehow? Did he say something before? She shook her head. No, I thought it was time for you to stop avoiding family gatherings. I never expected. Lucas tugged at my sleeve. Can you sing the Star Song again? I remember it made me feel safe. Fresh tears spilled down my cheeks. Oh, sweetheart, I don't think that's a good idea right now. Why not? His lower lip trembled. Don't you love me anymore? Of course I love you, I whispered. I've loved you every single day since you existed. That's why. I couldn't finish. That's why I gave you up. That's why I let my sister raise you. That's why I've spent 5 years pretending my heart wasn't shattered into a million pieces. The kitchen door opened and Rachel returned, David now at her side. His face was tight with concern as he surveyed the scene. Lucas, he said gently, come here, buddy. But Lucas shook his head, pressing closer to my side. I want to stay with my first mommy. David's face hardened. Lucas, come here now. No. Lucas's shout startled all of us. You lied. You all lied. Rachel started crying again. David looked lost. Mom covered her face with her hands. And in the middle of it all, a 5-year-old boy clung to my arm, demanding truth from a world of adult complications. Maybe, Mom said carefully, we should all take some time to calm down. Process this. Process what? David's voice was sharp. The legal adoption was closed. Emma signed away her rights. Lucas is our son. David. Rachel touched his arm. He knows. Somehow he knows. We can't just ignore this. Watch me, David snapped. Lucas, we're going home. Now. Lucas began to cry. Real tears that tore at my heart. No, please. I want to stay with her. I had to be the adult. Had to do what was right, not what my heart wanted. Lucas, sweetie, you need to go with your mom and dad. They love you very much. But you're my mom too. Yes, I whispered. But they're your parents. They've raised you and loved you and taken care of you. That's what parents do. He looked up at me, tears streaming down his face. Did you not want me? The question hit me like a physical blow. Oh God, no, baby. I wanted you so much. But I was very young, and I couldn't take care of you the way you deserved. That's why I chose your mom and dad to raise you, because I loved you enough to want the very best for you. Rachel made a choked sound. When I looked up, her face was a mixture of pain and something else. Understanding, maybe. David, she said softly. We need to handle this carefully. For Lucas's sake. David ran a hand through his hair, frustration evident in every movement. Handle what? This wasn't supposed to happen. The adoption was closed for a reason. Life doesn't always go according to plan, Mom interjected. But that boy is confused and hurting right now. Whatever we decide, it has to be about what's best for him. Lucas had stopped crying, but he still held tight to my hand. Looking at him, this miracle child who somehow remembered my voice across 5 years and a wall of silence, I knew what I had to do. Lucas, I said gently, I need you to listen to me, okay? He nodded, hiccuping slightly. I am your first mommy. I carried you in my tummy, and I loved you so much that I wanted to make sure you had the best life possible. And your mom and dad have given you that life. They're your real parents. But, no buts, sweetheart. They've been there for every skinned knee, every bedtime story, every happy moment and sad moment. They're your mom and dad. I hesitated, looking at Rachel. I'm your Aunt Emma, who loves you very much and will always be here if you need me. Is that okay? Lucas considered this, his small face scrunched in thought. Can you still sing me the star song sometimes? Rachel let out a shaky breath. Maybe. Maybe Aunt Emma could come over for dinner sometimes, if she wants to. I looked at my sister, really looked at her. Beyond the pain and fear in her eyes, I saw something else, an olive branch. I'd like that, I said quietly. David started to protest, but Rachel cut him off. He knows, David. We can't change that. But we can handle it with grace and love. For Lucas's sake. Lucas finally let go of my hand, walking over to hug Rachel's legs. I love you, Mommy. I love you too, baby, she whispered, stroking his hair. So much. Mom cleared her throat. Why don't I take Lucas to get some juice? Give you all a chance to talk? Once they left the room, silence fell. Rachel sank onto the sofa, emotionally exhausted. David paced by the window, and I stood there, feeling both emptier and more complete than I had in 5 years. We need to set clear boundaries, David finally said. Legal boundaries. No. Rachel surprised us both by saying, we need to be a family. All of us. She looked at me, tears in her eyes. I've spent 5 years being afraid of this moment. Afraid he'd find out. Afraid he'd hate us for not telling him. Afraid he'd love you more than me. But seeing him today, he has so much love in his heart. Maybe there's room for all of us. Rachel, I whispered, I never wanted to take him from you. I know. She managed a watery smile. You proved that today. The way you handled it, putting his needs first. That's what a mother does. David stopped pacing. This isn't what we planned. No, Rachel agreed. But it's what we have. And maybe it's better this way. No more secrets. No more avoiding family gatherings. No more pretending Emma isn't part of his life. He'll have questions, I said, as he gets older. Then we'll answer them honestly, together. David sighed heavily. This is crazy. This whole situation is crazy. Welcome to family, Rachel said with a hint of her usual humor. It's messy and complicated, and never goes according to plan. Mom returned with Lucas, who immediately ran to hug Rachel. Mommy, can we have pizza for dinner? Sure, baby. Rachel stroked his hair, then looked at me. Would you like to join us, Emma? The invitation hung in the air between us, more than just dinner, more than just tonight. It was an invitation back into their lives, into Lucas's life, on new terms. "Yes," I said softly. "I'd like that." That first dinner was awkward. I sat at Rachel and David's dining room table, watching Lucas devour his pizza while the adults tried to navigate our new reality. The elephant in the room, my connection to Lucas, felt almost physical, pressing against my chest with each breath. "So," Rachel attempted conversation, "how's work going?" "Good," I managed. "Just got promoted to senior accountant." "That's wonderful." Her enthusiasm felt forced. "Isn't that wonderful, David?" David grunted, barely looking up from his plate. "I got an A on my math test." Lucas announced proudly. "Just like Aunt Emma, Mommy says you're good at math too." The simple observation hit like a thunderbolt. Of course he was good at math. I'd always excelled at numbers, found comfort in their predictability, another trait he'd inherited from me. Rachel must have seen something in my face because she quickly changed the subject. "Who wants ice cream for dessert?" But Lucas wasn't done. "Can Aunt Emma read me a bedtime story tonight? Please?" Rachel's hand froze on her glass. David's jaw tightened. The weight of their unspoken fears filled the room, fears that I'd try to take their place, that Lucas would love me more, that everything they'd built would crumble. "I should probably head home," I said quietly. "It's a work night." "No." Lucas's lower lip trembled. "Please stay. You promised to sing the star song." "Lucas," David's voice held a warning. "Aunt Emma needs to go home." "But it's okay," I interrupted gently. "I can come back another time. If—" I looked at Rachel. "If that's okay." She nodded slowly. Maybe you could come for Sunday dinner? Make it a regular thing?" It was more than I dared hope for. I'd like that. That night, alone in my apartment, I pulled out the box I kept hidden in my closet. Inside were the only tangible connections I had to my pregnancy: ultrasound photos, hospital bracelets, a tiny hat the nurses had given me. I'd held him just once before they took him away, memorizing every detail of his perfect face. My phone buzzed with a text from Rachel. "Thank you for tonight, for handling everything so gracefully. This isn't easy for any of us." I stared at the message for a long time before replying, "He's lucky to have you as his mom." The next few weeks established a new pattern. Sunday dinners became a regular thing. Sometimes David participated, sometimes he found excuses to work late. Lucas blossomed under the attention, proudly showing me his schoolwork, teaching me the names of all his stuffed animals, asking endless questions about everything. But he never called me Mommy again. Whether Rachel and David had talked to him, or he'd somehow understood on his own, he settled into calling me Aunt Emma, with no further incidents, until the night of the thunderstorm. I was at their house for dinner when the storm hit. Massive thunderclaps that shook the windows, lightning that turned night to day. Lucas, terrified, crawled into Rachel's lap. "Make it stop, Mommy." Rachel held him close, murmuring comfort. But with each thunderclap, he shook harder. "Sing the star song," he pleaded, looking at me. "Please. It always makes the scary things go away." Rachel and I exchanged glances. Since that first revelation at the baby shower, I hadn't sung to him. It felt too intimate, too close to crossing a line. But now, Rachel nodded slightly. "Go ahead," she whispered. So I sang, my voice soft and a little shaky. "Twinkle, twinkle, little star." Lucas's trembling gradually subsided. By the second verse, his eyes were drooping. When I finished, he was asleep in Rachel's arms. "That's amazing," Rachel said quietly. "Nothing else calms him during storms." "I used to sing it during thunderstorms when I was pregnant," I admitted. Maybe he remembers that too." Rachel was quiet for a long moment, looking down at Lucas's peaceful face. "I used to be so jealous," she finally said. "When I couldn't get pregnant, watching you, it felt so unfair. You weren't even trying, and I wanted a baby so badly." "Rachel, let me finish. When Mom suggested the adoption, it seemed perfect. Too perfect. I got my baby, you got to finish school, everyone won." She laughed bitterly. "Except no one told me how guilty I'd feel. Watching you hurt, knowing I was raising your child." "You've given him an amazing life," I said firmly. "Better than I could have then." "Maybe. But I've had 5 years of memories that should have been yours too." Thunder crashed again, but Lucas slept on. "I'm pregnant," Rachel said suddenly. "Obviously." She gestured to her growing belly. "But I'm terrified. What if I can't love this baby as much as I love Lucas? What if this baby somehow knows they're my real child and Lucas isn't?" "Oh, Rachel." I moved to sit beside her on the couch. "Lucas is your real child. Biology doesn't make a parent. Love does, and you've loved him completely from day one." She started crying then, quiet tears that dropped onto Lucas's hair. "I'm sorry," she whispered, "for everything. For taking him, for shutting you out, for—" "Stop." I took her hand, my sister's hand. "You didn't take him. I chose you. And yes, it hurt. It still hurts sometimes. But seeing him happy, seeing him loved, that's what matters." Lucas stirred slightly, snuggling closer to Rachel even in sleep. "Will you help me?" Rachel asked. "With the new baby? Be a real aunt this time, from the beginning?" "Of course." The front door opened. David, finally home from work. He stopped short seeing us on the couch, Lucas asleep between us. "There was a storm," Rachel explained. Emma helped calm him down. David's face did something complicated. Then, surprising us both, he said, "Thank you." He's always been terrified of thunder. It was the first time he'd spoken to me directly in weeks. "David," Rachel said carefully, "I've been thinking. Maybe we should tell Lucas the whole truth. Not now, but when he's older. He deserves to know his story." David sat heavily in his armchair. "I thought we agreed to wait until he was 18. "He already knows something," I pointed out. "He sensed it, somehow. Maybe it would be better to guide him through understanding it than have him piece it together himself, and risk losing him." David's voice cracked slightly. "He's my son, the only one I'll ever have." Rachel's hand flew to her pregnant belly. "David?" He wouldn't meet her eyes. "The doctor called today. The genetic testing results. I have a condition. This baby, it's not mine." The room went very still. "What?" Rachel whispered. "The baby's not mine," David repeated, "which means I'll never have biological children. Lucas is the only child I'll ever be able to call mine, and now he knows he's not really." "Stop." Rachel's voice was firm. "Lucas is your son in every way that matters, just like he's mine. Just like this baby will be yours too, if you choose to be its father. But, no buts, family isn't about DNA. Haven't we learned that already?" She looked at me. "Emma chose us to be Lucas's parents because she knew we would love him completely. And we have. And we will." All of our children. David was crying now, silent tears rolling down his cheeks. I'm sorry, he said, for how I've been acting. I was so scared of losing him. You won't, I said quietly. He needs his dad. His real dad. The one who's been there every day of his life. Lucas stirred again, blinking sleepily. Daddy, you're home. He climbed off Rachel's lap and ran to David, who scooped him up in a fierce hug. I love you, buddy, David whispered. So much. Love you too, Daddy. Lucas yawned. Can Aunt Emma come to my t-ball game tomorrow? I want her to see me hit the ball. David met my eyes over Lucas's head. Of course she can, if she wants to. I wouldn't miss it, I said. 4 months later, I stood in the hospital room holding my new niece, my real niece this time, though biology had nothing to do with it. Rachel watched from her bed, exhausted but happy. She's beautiful, I said, meaning it. Have you decided on a name? Hope, Rachel answered. Because that's what she represents. Hope for our strange, complicated, beautiful family. Lucas, perched on David's lap, peered at his baby sister. She's so tiny. Was I that tiny? Even tinier, I told him, remembering. He knew the truth now, as much as a 5-year-old could understand. We'd explained that I had carried him in my tummy, but wasn't ready to be a mom. So I chose his mom and dad to raise him. That he was extra special because he had 3 people who loved him so much. Can you sing the star song to Hope? He asked. So she'll know she's safe too. Rachel nodded encouragingly. So I sang, my voice carrying the familiar melody while Lucas joined in, slightly off-key, but enthusiastic. David held Rachel's hand. Rachel cradled Hope. I finished the lullaby. And Lucas, my beautiful boy, who would always be part of my heart, smiled at his family. All of us, together. Sometimes life takes unexpected turns. Sometimes the hardest choices lead to the most beautiful outcomes. Sometimes family is more complicated and more wonderful than we could ever imagine. Looking around that hospital room, I finally felt at peace. The baby shower that had seemed like an ending had actually been a beginning, the start of a new chapter where love expanded to include all of us, where truth set us free instead of tearing us apart, where a little boy's innocent recognition of his first mother's voice built a bridge instead of a wall. Hope slept peacefully in my arms while Lucas chattered about being a big brother, while Rachel and David shared knowing looks of new parenthood. And I knew, with absolute certainty, that 5 years ago I had made the right choice. Because sometimes giving up what you love most isn't an ending at all. Sometimes it's just the beginning of a different kind of love story. 3 years later, I sat in the audience at Lucas's school play, watching him sing in the spring musical. Rachel sat beside me, Hope on her lap, both of us beaming with pride. David recorded everything on his phone, determined not to miss a moment. After the show, Lucas ran to us, still wearing his costume. Did you see me? Did you hear me singing? You were amazing, Rachel assured him, hugging him tight. Just like your Aunt Emma, David added with a wink. She always had a beautiful voice. Lucas looked at me thoughtfully. Is that why I'm good at singing? Because you're my first mom? We'd gotten used to these questions, learned to answer them honestly but sensitively. Maybe, I said, but you're good at lots of things because you work hard and practice. He nodded, satisfied. Can we get ice cream to celebrate? Of course, Rachel laughed. Our star deserves a treat. As we walked to the car, Lucas between Rachel and me, holding both our hands, Hope riding on David's shoulders. I thought about how far we'd come from that baby shower 3 years ago. The path hadn't always been smooth. There had been difficult conversations, moments of jealousy and insecurity, times when the complexity of our situation felt overwhelming. But we'd faced each challenge together, putting Lucas's needs first, learning to be a different kind of family. Lucas still called me Aunt Emma, but he knew I was his first mom too. He understood, in his 8-year-old way, that he was loved by many people in many different ways. And somehow, that knowledge had made him more secure, not less. Hope, now 3, adored her big brother and had no concept of biology or adoption. To her, family was simply family. Mom and Dad, brother, and Aunt Emma, who came for Sunday dinners and sang at bedtime. "You know what?" Lucas said as we sat around the ice cream parlor table. "I'm lucky." "Why's that, buddy?" David asked. "Because I have the best family ever. 2 moms who love me, the best dad, and the most annoying, but kind of awesome little sister." Hope stuck her tongue out at him, chocolate ice cream dripping down her chin. Rachel squeezed my hand under the table, and I squeezed back, because Lucas was right. He was lucky. And so were we, this patchwork family that had found its way through truth and pain to something beautiful. Sometimes the hardest moments in life lead us exactly where we're meant to be. Sometimes a baby shower revelation becomes a bridge to healing. And sometimes, love really does conquer all. Not by erasing the past or pretending it didn't happen, but by making room for everyone's truth in the story. That night, as always, I sang the Star Song, not just to Lucas now, but to Hope too. And as their eyes drifted closed, safe in their beds, loved by all of us, I knew that this was what family really meant. Not biology, or legal documents, or societal expectations, but love in all its messy, complicated, beautiful forms. The baby shower that had seemed like an ending had actually been a beginning. And this story, our story, was still being written. One day, one song, one moment of love at a time.